Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus, you are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and my main man,
JC.
John Coleman.
Dio, what's popping?
Everything, bro.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, we could just do a whole entire episode based on our weekends alone.
We could.
You got to go experience Baja Mar in the Bahamas.
Shout out SLS Baja Mar. If you ever have the opportunity to go, please go.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
15.
15?
Yes.
Like, I was very fortunate a long, long time ago, like 6 years ago. Wife and I took the kids with another couple and their kids to Atlantis.
Yes.
And that was cool.
Yeah.
But I heard Baja Mar is like next level.
Next level.
I've never done it.
Yeah.
You'd recommend it?
I'd highly recommend it.
Highly recommend it. I need a passport.
Yes.
And I need a COVID test.
You need either a test COVID test and or vaccine.
And or vaccine.
Yeah.
So if I'm vaccinated, I can go.
You can go. Still need to get tested, but yeah, you can go.
Pool scene was good.
Amazing.
Beach scene was good.
Out of control.
Club scene.
Jesus, stop.
How about the gambling?
Oh my gosh.
Legend has it. Legend has it. You might have got on a heater.
Listen, hey, shooter.
Hey, who were you with the first time you ever shot dice?
That would be the gentleman sitting across from me right now. That'd be Dustin Owen.
That was your first time.
That was my first time.
I remember some of that night.
As do I. No, every side, you play blackjack at first, and it's like, all right, it's whatever to me. I really don't like it. Then you got my boy Ty got me into roulette, and that was my game for a while. Really enjoyed roulette. But now craps is my thing.
Yes.
Craps.
Yeah, we were at Aria. It was 2 years ago. You had just onboarded at Waterstone Mortgage. I'm like, hey, by the way, we have a work event in Vegas. You're like, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm like, and you get to go. Are you okay with that?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then I sat there and I asked you to shoot on my behalf.
Yeah.
And you hit my numbers.
You said something like porn high, yo. You were throwing out these crazy terms I didn't know, and apparently I wrote something, and you just got happy.
Look, if you ever want to win in craps, do what I don't do.
What's that?
No, just bet against me. Whatever I'm doing, do the opposite.
Right.
I promise I'll have the most fun on the table.
Oh, yes.
I'll be the loudest on the table.
Oh,
Sometimes the most obnoxious.
Oh, yes.
Occasionally, I'll be the one winning all the money, but most times not.
Right.
So statistically, it's probably better not to do what I do. But I was betting the horn high yo. Basically, it's one roll, either a 2, a 3, an 11, or a 12 is what you want.
Okay.
If neither one of those numbers comes out, I lose my money.
Okay.
And if an 11 came out, I win more than if a 2, 3, or 12 came out.
Okay.
Yep. So horn high yo is 11.
Gotcha.
So if you say yo in the game of craps, you really mean 11. And the reason why is because 7 and 11 sound alike. So in order to differentiate between 7 and 11, we call the 11 a yo.
Makes sense.
Don't know why. I'll have to look that one up. Maybe Google will tell me.
Okay.
Yes. And then on my end, we had college football kickoff.
Right.
Like legitimately starting with my UCF Knights on Thursday.
Go Knights.
They took them 2 days to win that game. It started on a Thursday, ended on a Friday. Right. Then we had some great games on Saturday. Unbelievable game when the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame came down to Tallahassee to take on the Warrior Seminoles of Florida State. Went into overtime, and the Fighting Irish prevailed. But we got to see?
What did you get to see?
Number 10 back on the field. UCF's own Mackenzie Milton.
There you go.
The man. So it was really awesome to see KZ do his thing.
Good.
I will be rooting for number 10 all season long, and look forward to the Seminoles having a turnaround season under the leadership of KZ.
There you go.
All right. Now, on to today's show.
Yes.
On to today's show, which, by the way, this episode, man, this is the first episode that we're releasing after the monumentous episode that we recorded last week with Barry Habib.
Shout out Barry Habib.
Shout out Barry Habib. Barry taught us one crucial aspect about our show.
What's that?
We can do it without headsets.
You can.
If need be, we can do a show without headsets. We prefer it.
Yeah.
We prefer it because sometimes there's noise distractions.
Right.
But luckily, with the episode we did with Barry, we're in a very secluded room.
Yep.
And shout out to the Hilton Bonnet Creek.
Thank you.
Because they put us in said room, which allowed us to cut out a lot of the background noise.
Yep.
If you're tuning in, like I had a listener, she's like, "Hey, Dio, like, where do you do your episode? By a hospital?" She's like, "Because I very seldom will I hear, or occasionally I'll hear like fire engines." I'm like, "No, we are literally about 100 yards from I-4, Interstate 4.
Yeah.
So we're up on the 6th floor of 2699 Lee Road, which is the office building. And we pick up some of the background noise coming in from I-4.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a presidential motorcade.
Sounds like
because in order to get from the airport to many locations, you have to go right past this office.
Yeah.
So But no, shout out to Barry. Kudos to Barry for taking the time. What a consummate professional. He showed up on time. He told me we had 25 minutes. He gave us 26 minutes, took a picture, and just he didn't have to do that, and he did.
Yeah.
So we're forever grateful.
Yes, sir.
If you're tuning in because you first watched Barry, you're like, oh, I kind of like that format and that content. I'd like more. Then we say thank you. And if you're tuning in on YouTube, please know you can subscribe and comment because we love to interact with our listeners and our viewers via those comments. If you would rather listen to us, you can do so on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Google Play, or really anywhere that you can find podcasts. We also have social media links almost everywhere except for Pinterest. But we are on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn at the Loan Officer Podcast. If you want to connect with me individually, I am Dustin Owen, and I'm easiest found on LinkedIn. He is Just John or John Coleman, and he is best found on Google.
There you go.
Whew. So, John.
Yes.
We have a viewer request.
Okay.
Viewer request, which means it's a YouTuber.
Yes, sir.
Right? Listener request would probably be someone coming in from Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Right.
Viewer request. What are we going to chat about today?
And we're to talk about dealing with recruiters and transitioning.
Yes. And transitioning, we're talking about transitioning from one employer to the other.
Correct.
That type of transition. Because there's multiple types of transitions that can be made.
Yeah.
You can transition from one career into the mortgage industry. You can transition out of one relationship into the next.
Right.
But we're going to talk about transitioning from your current employer to your next employer. And I kind of want to give my own 2 cents. And this is, again, the world as I know it, or what I call the world as Dio knows it. Then you give me shit for talking about myself in the third person. And also dealing with recruiters. Because as someone who works in a bit of a higher level management role, part of recruitment falls on my shoulders. So I can empathize with my friends who are in recruiting, but I can also empathize with my friends who are in the field who incessantly get browbeat by recruiters. And then the real question was something along the lines of, hey, Dio, I currently work for XYZ company and I'm looking to leave. How do I do this? What do I do with prequals? What do I do with loans in the pipeline?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Like, how do I politely leave, not burn any bridges, and then transition to my new employer? So I want to talk about both because the two of them are intersecting. I'm going to start with recruiters, and we'll spend more of our time talking about the actual transitioning aspect. Okay. So first and foremost, how do you deal with recruiters? There's no good way to do it. Okay. I would try to ask everyone to remember that they, like you, are just a salesperson looking to do a job. At the end of the day, their job is to make enough phone calls to throw a wide enough net so that if someone is entertaining leaving their current place of employment, maybe they called them on the day that they're most willing to talk. Okay, so be as polite and professional as possible without being angry and ugly, because you never know who that person will work with or work for next, right? They may be someone that your employer hires and puts into a different role, and that role is to support you, and they might remember that interaction, right? You just never know. And life's too short to be a dick. And this is, by the way, pot calling the kettle black. Like, this is advice I have to give myself. Like, hey, Dustin, this person is just trying to do their job. Now, recruiters, those are tuning in, like, look, know something about me. Do some kind of due diligence, or be upfront and honest. And be like, hey, man, I've done no research and I know nothing about you, but I see here that you work for a mortgage company. Are you interested in career opportunities outside of where you are? I'm a big fan of keeping it honest. Keep it simple and be honest and be yourself, but preferably know something about me. Right? I have a guy who works at another mortgage company, and he and I know of some of the same people. I don't know if we've ever sat down and had ourselves even a hour-long lunch in the past 15, 16 years, but our paths have definitely crossed, and he incessantly tries to recruit me. And I so want to say to this guy, dude, my group outproduces your group 4-1. Like, I
come on over.
Yeah.
You'd be a great fit.
Yeah, like, please stop. Like, it should be me recruiting you. But I'm not, and there's a reason behind it. But I don't play that game. So I just, I try to stay polite, try to stay surface level, give a couple ahas, couple winks, couple nods, and move on. But when you're that loan officer or that loan partner, it is annoying. I get it. I'm raising my hand and saying yes, especially when you're newly licensed. Hey, I'm newly licensed. I've had my license for 100 days. I've closed 0 loans, but I've received 5 phone calls.
So question for you, in this industry, how prevalent are recruiters in recruiting? Because, I understand recruiters at EA, they'd be like, hey, we're looking for XYZ kind of developer, very niche role, and they go find it. But I didn't see them like banging down doors, making hundreds of calls a day.
So much of this industry always has been, let's find warm butts to put in cold seats. Period, end of story. If you're licensed and you can fog a mirror, we'll hire you.
Really?
So many companies will operate that way. It's a numbers game for them. If I'm being recruited that way, it's going to make me take a step back and be like, I haven't closed any loans ever, and but you want me?
I want you.
Yeah.
But, so what is that like? So I'm a new loan officer, just got it, and their phone rings and they have like ABC recruiting. I'm like, hey, just saw you got your license. Like, would you like to come work for us? And like, that's
well, look, if you're newly licensed, you are looking for a place to go.
Right.
If you're newly licensed, you should be out interviewing the top 4 or 5 lenders in your market to figure out who's going to be the best fit for you, especially understanding that those first 2 years are crucial. You need to find a company that is going to train you, support you, mentor you. You need to find a company that you're going to surround yourself with a bunch of professionals that you want to be like. Right? That's the whole birds of a feather flock together. If you want to increase your level and anything, then you surround yourself with people that you want to be like. I mean, that's what's the other old adage? Show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are type thing, right? Yeah. I'm sure your mom told you that a lot growing up, JC.
Right.
But it's true. There's some truth behind it, right? So when you're newly licensed, but I'm saying like once you're newly licensed and you found that employer, you did the whole interviewing circuit, you found that company that you're like, yeah, my boss is a great dude or great gal, and she's going to invest in me, and they have training and they have systems and processes, and there's 7 other people in my organization. 3 are top producers and 4 of them are average producers who came through the same training program that I did. This is where I need to be. And those people are getting recruited. Well, you have to stop and ask yourself, well, then am I really special? And the answer is probably not. You're just another phone number with another name. And then how do I deal with it? As polite and professional as you can, knowing that it's annoying. And recruiters, if you're the people that are just doing your job, all I'm going to ask you is just be upfront, honest, and forthright. That's it. Upfront, honest, and forthright. It's at least what will work for me, with me, and anyone that I know.
Are recruiters like in this industry, do they tend to be shady or kind of like, not conniving? I don't want to use that kind of terminology, but is it?
I wouldn't say this industry, and I wouldn't say just recruiters.
Okay.
Right? That's not fair.
Right.
I would say that in general, there are people who are self-serving individuals. They're putting their needs above anyone else's. And yes, there's going to be people who tell you what you want to hear versus reality. Or worse, they're going to tell you what someone else told them, not verifying or knowing firsthand if that's reality. I mean, that's here's advice I'd give to anyone, and we'll get into our transition aspect, because I'm kind of done with the recruiter aspect. But when you are being recruited, you need to consider the source. Like, what are they telling you? Like, what's the reason why you should leave your current employer and go work for their company? Right? The first thing I'd ask the person that's recruiting me, how long have you been there? Right? If this company is so great, then let me ask you, how long have you been there? If your answer is anything less than 2 years, it's going to make me wonder, how do you really know it's great? Especially if you've been there less than 9 months. It's like, what do you know?
I just started myself.
Yeah, you're still feeding me the same line of bullshit they fed you to get you to come over.
Right.
It's like, no. Now, that doesn't mean that person who's only been there for 3 months or 9 months or 18 months doesn't have a good feeling for the type of company it is. But I would recommend you ask to speak to someone who's been there a little bit longer. Right? You should, if you're entertaining making a move, make sure you're making the move for the right reasons. And not just because someone who's been there for less than a year is telling you it's a great place to work. No. Ask to speak to someone who's been there for the past 3 years, 5 years. Ask to speak to somebody who is at a level that you want to achieve, right? Someone who's better than you. They're more successful than you. They're more experienced than you. Ask them, why did you like working here? Why do you stay? Why do you not leave? What do you wish you could change? Like, these are all things that if I'm contemplating making a move, I should be asking that of the organization. I know that when I'm recruiting on behalf of Waterstone Mortgage, I literally would tell anyone who's interested in working here, once we made it through all the reasons why they might not want to work here, and they're like, nah, this is the place I want to be, then I'm going to say, hey, I could give you 3 names to say, call these 3 people and ask them what it's like to work here. But those 3 people, I could have hand selected, right? I could be monetarily compensating them to give good reviews. Or I could just say, hey, here's my loan officer roster. I'd recommend you call any one of these people and ask them, how long have they been in our organization? What do we do well? What do they wish we did better? Why do they stay? Right? Because you should be able to do that. In fact, you should, if you're contemplating leaving your current employer, those are things that you should be doing. Not just talking to the recruiter whose job is to get you to onboard. That's how they get compensated. Some will tell you anything you want to hear. Some will tell you the truth, and some will tell you what they think is the truth. And I would say most would tell you what they think is the truth based on what the actual leadership team has shared with them. Right? All they're doing is regurgitating sales bits. Right? That's what they're doing. All right. Why you should leave. Why would you leave a company? Never, ever, 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 ever make it solely about product. Products come and go, ladies and gentlemen. They just do. Oh, well, this lender's doing foreign national loans. I need to go work there. Yeah, they're doing foreign national loans until they're not. Oh, well, this lender has this really good loan product for investors. Well, that's a really good loan product until Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac change their guidelines, at which point that product's irrelevant. Right? So you should never join a company solely because they have a product. Now, you may go work for a company because they do a certain product that you already do well. For example, I have an opportunity to be the preferred lender with a builder who's getting ready to build 120 homes over the next 3 years. And this builder requires construction or permit financing, or what we call CP loans. My current employer, we don't do them well, nor do we do them in-house. Okay, that person, because they already have the relationship with the builder, they're already doing the pre-approvals for the potential home buyers. That person may very well need to find a company that does X, Y, and Z really well. And X, Y, and Z maybe support their loan officers, close loans on time, have a great back office sales support team, processors, underwriting, closers. And oh, by the way, they do CP lending really well.
So when you say like when a place does a product really well, what does that mean exactly? Like, hey, we do construction perm really well, but maybe conventional not so much. Like, what is that?
You'll rarely find that.
Okay.
Yeah, you won't be able to do any of those niche products well if you don't do the 95% well. Like, look, 95% of every loan that's being originated in the United States this year is going to be a conventional loan, an FHA loan, a VA loan, or it's going to be your standard run-of-the-mill jumbo. Right, an 80 LTV, a 90 LTV, up to $1 million loan amount, 30-year fixed, just standard, conforming underwriting guidelines, but it's considered a jumbo because the loan size is non-conforming. That's the 95%. When I'm coaching and teaching loan officers, I will tell them, be damn good at the 95%. That 95% is not going away. Now, there's another 100 loan products out there that fill the void of the 5%. Whether they're bank statement loans, whether they're debt service loans, whether they're construction to permanent, which by the way is still a conventional loan, it's just a little bit different. There's foreign national, there's a plenitude of specialty products out there. So a company wouldn't necessarily not do FHA, VA, or conventional well.
Okay.
But there are many companies that they just don't offer the product of a construction loan. Maybe they're not a big enough company that they handle it all in-house. Maybe they have to outsource the underwriting. They have to outsource certain aspects of it that just make it clunky. Right? Or maybe they don't offer a 30-year fixed. Maybe they offer the product, but it's only on an arm. Or maybe they offer the product, but it's not a one-time close. It's a two-time close, meaning the consumer has to qualify at the beginning of construction, then qualify again 9 or 12 months later when the home is complete. Maybe they don't have flexible draw schedules. Maybe their builder approval process is clunky. So, there would be a reason that I'm like, you know what? The bulk of my business is still helping people purchase homes utilizing conventional FHA, VA, USDA lending. But I had this opportunity with this home builder that could add an incremental 20 closings a year, at which point, in order to do so, I need to be working for a company that offers this product. So now I need to not only seek a company that offers a product, but also need to make sure that they're just as good, if not better, than the company I'm leaving.
Gotcha.
But normally when you're looking at moving companies, I will never, ever, ever give someone advice to move for product alone. Oh, well, they have renovation lending. They do foreign national loans. And I want to ask that loan officer, how many renovation loans have you done in your career? How many foreign national loans have you done? And by the way, how many are you planning on doing? How many do the people that work there do? Right? Because when you break it down, like you may be leaving a structure or a system that helps you actually close 6 to 8 more loans a year, whether it's because their ability to close loans quickly or the support you get with their scenario desk or their underwriting team or having a dedicated processor. You're leaving that to go work for some place that has these 2 niche products, at which I'll tell you from experience, you'll be lucky if you close 1 of each. So your net pickup is a -6, right? You gave up the 8 loans that you would have done staying with your current employer to pick up the 2 loans that your current employer didn't. It never makes sense. I've never seen it make sense. You normally are going to leave your current employer because you're not getting the support you desire. Period. End of story. Those have been successful transitions. Now, the support you desire is pretty broad based, right? It could be, dude, my company doesn't close my loans on freaking time. Okay, you need to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're missing closing dates because you're not processing and underwriting and funding loans in a timely manner, then you need to look at other places of doing business. If you're not getting the support you need, like it takes you days to get one of your managers to call you back to help you structure a pre-approval, or you don't have access to a scenario desk, or if you can't talk to your processor or talk to your underwriter, you may very well determine this company is not for me. I need to go work for a company where I can have a dedicated processor, when I can have access to my underwriter, when I do have a loan scenario desk.
There's places that operate like that, where like the loan officer doesn't. I'm jaded because I'm here and all I know is like Kevin Murphy coming out talking to his processor, talking to his loan partner. So like for me, this is the norm. Yeah, no, there's definitely the mortgage industry is the industry, and then within the industry there's various business models, and people have their own business models for various reasons, right? Maybe that person who doesn't have all of that support, maybe they have interest rates that are 1/8 cheaper. Gotcha. But then my argument is like, what good is that 1/8 cheaper interest rate if you can't get loans closed on time and people won't refer you? Or what good is that 1/8 interest rate if you're constantly having to process your own loans and babysit them and you can't do your number one job, which is to go out there and prospect in the market? Right? So people would also leave the employer because, hey, this company I'm going to go work for, they're actually going to show me how to build a team. They're going to provide me free loan officer coaching. They have this database marketing program that I can tie into, and they already have a team that will manage and market my database for me. But there's always, ebb and flow or there's give and take when it comes to that. Maybe that particular company pays 115 basis points, not 130. At which point you have to look at what your production level is and say, well, if I had all of that support, could I still make more money? Because it won't necessarily be about the bips that you earn. So that's another thing that I would never, ever, ever tell someone to leave for is better comp nor better pricing. Now, again, you have to look at it from I don't say a rubric. Better pricing by its own merit is no reason to leave your employer. People work with people. 50% of your clients are going to work with you because you talk to them first. Half of your clients are going to work with you because of you. The other half are going to be somewhere between hardcore shoppers and obligatory shoppers. Obligatory shopper is, hey, I checked with my bank and you're in the same ballpark as my bank. You're way better than my bank. I'm going to use you. Hardcore shopper, you're never going to win them either. Anyhow, you'd have the cheapest rates in town. You're not going to win that person over.
it's a crapshoot. It's
Yeah.
John Coleman, right, sitting in Baja Mar trying to hit the yo for me, DO,
There you
right? I love betting the yo because it's 15-1 odds, 17-1 odds that it'll actually hit, though. So figure that one out. There's 17-1 odds that the 11 will be rolled and only pays 15-1. Probably not that smart of me to, but it's fun when you hit it. You bet $5, you win 75. It's fun.
Whoa, that's what.
Well, yeah, that's how that works. That's how that works. So anyhow, I digress down a rabbit hole, back onto why you would leave.
Yeah.
Okay, like these are all reasons why you would leave. So you wouldn't leave, in my opinion, just for pricing. You also wouldn't leave just for comp. Now, if you compared CRM, marketing, sales support, operational support, and slightly better pricing and slightly better comp, okay, at that point, maybe slightly better comp and pricing would have been what put you over the edge. But normally, I'm going to tell you don't get that. You don't, like, it's a give and take.
Yeah.
And you have to ask yourself, what's more important? Do you want to make more basis points but get less support? And you think that's a better way to run your business? Or would you rather make a little bit less basis points but have the most support you've ever had, at which point you enjoy what you're doing, you're more productive, you close more loans, therefore you make more money? Obviously, based on how I just spelled that out, you know where I stand on that.
Yeah.
Interest rates, I'm going to promise you this. Recruiters will show you whatever rate sheet you want to see. That's a dirty trick. Once they have you on board and they ratchet up their pricing, they already know that it's so painful transitioning that you're not going to now leave.
Got him.
Got them, exactly. Got them. That's a dirty trick to be cognizant of.
Okay.
Look, we all borrow our money from the same people. Right? We're all selling and delivering loans to aggregators, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, or Ginnie Mae security pools. Like, the business model is a business model. It costs X amount of dollars for processors and Y amount of dollars for underwriters, X amount for QC, Encompass, or whatever your loan origination software needs their cut. You want your cut. The branch wants their cut. Man, this wheel, it's the same wheel. Pizza is pizza is pizza. Mm-hmm. Some people prefer Marco's. Some people like Domino's. Other people, they like Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
Right? I'm more of a Papa John's guy myself. Actually, I'm not. I'm a Marco's guy myself. Yeah. Papa John's would come in second. It's still pizza. Yeah. There's at the end of the day, you're going to make it and deliver it a certain way. Mm-hmm. There's going to be small differences, but usually it's the same pie.
Right.
Mortgage industry works the same exact way. So to go work somewhere because they're going to show you better pricing, what good is that if 30, 60, 90 days it's no longer there?
That makes sense.
Right. So it's about making the right decisions. And a lot of times people make the decision because who they need to change is the most difficult change. And that's the man or woman in the mirror.
In the mirror.
Yeah. So instead of making the hard change, like, I'm going to do the easy change.
I'll just leave.
Yeah. Like back when I had hair, I'd get a new hairstyle.
There you go.
Right? Or like I watch some of my female relatives and all of a sudden it's a new hair color. Yeah. I'm like, oh, they needed to change.
Yeah.
Right? Other people, they just get a new boyfriend or girlfriend. Oh, I need to change. Yeah. Some people I'm just going to change my job. It's probably not the job. It's probably the person who works the job, but that person's the hardest person to get to change.
It's true.
All right, so the last thing I haven't covered is how do you do it? Yeah. Right? You made the decision. Hey, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to transition. This is the world according to Dustin Owen. Here's what I need you all to understand. If it is a loan in process, it stays with your employer. Period. End of story. If you have apped and disclosed that loan, that is your employer's loan. Whether they pay you for it or they don't pay you for it, that's between you and them. Personally, I think it's a dick move not to pay a loan originator for a loan that they procured, apped, disclosed, locked in after they leave. It's just the world according to me. If it's someone that you have pre-approved, it's a little give and take. The first question I would ask is, well, who procured the lead? If that lead was referred to you by your employer, it stays with your employer. If you went out and self-generated that lead, but you haven't pre-approved, but they're not under contract yet, you, in my opinion, should be able to call your your borrower, your client, and say, hey, I just want to let you know I'm going to be leaving on Friday and going to a new mortgage company. I can hand your file off to Susie in my office and she can take great care of you if that's okay with you. And then shut up and see how your client responds. More times than not, your client's like, well, could I not do a pre-approval with you at your new company? At which point my answer is going to be, look, my cell phone number is still the same. Please give me a call on Monday. And I'd be more than happy to do a new pre-approval for you.
Yeah.
Okay. To me, again, I'm not legal. I'm not an attorney. I have not seen your employment agreement. This is how I would operate. If that borrower was procured by your employer. Someone within your institution gave you that lead, it needs to stay. That's the right thing to do. If you procured the lead, it should follow you as long as you present it to that borrower the way that I just mentioned. And then any new lead coming in, especially any new lead, again, that you procured. If you didn't procure it, then it needs to stay in-house. That's the right thing to do. Don't steal. Don't be a thief. But if you procured it, came from one of your past clients, one of your referral sources, and John Coleman, you're calling me on Tuesday, and I know that Friday's going to be my last day here at Waterstone before I transition to somewhere else. Yeah. I may say to you, hey, John, I just need to be forthright with you. I know you're calling in for a mortgage pre-approval, and I'm going to help you. But I'm going to be leaving Waterstone on Friday. Friday's going to be my last day. I'm going to go to a new mortgage company. If I do your pre-approval here, then I'll be more than happy to get your letter out to you by tomorrow, and I can hand your file off to someone who can see you to the end.
Okay.
Or you may, if you'd like, I can introduce you to my sales manager to the company I'm going to go to, and he or she can start your pre-approval today. And then once I onboard with them next week, I'll be able to loop in and take over your file.
Okay, that works.
Yeah, I'd give it to you, the consumer, assuming your lead was procured by me. Also assuming that I'm not paid a salary to go out and bring leads in. Like, there's definitely a gray area. That's why I'm like, look, I am not an attorney. This is just what I would look to do and what I would find acceptable. If one of my loan officers were to leave working for Waterstone, these are some of the rules and boundaries that I would want to follow. I wouldn't be mad at John Coleman, the loan officer, if that happened.
Right.
I would be pissed at John Coleman if you started taking loans out of my pipeline, unless I specifically asked you to. By the way, there's been times that we specifically have gone through a loan officer's pipeline and said, hey, this loan's in here and it's not closing for like 6 months. You want to just take it with you?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like that's something we've done.
Yeah.
We've sat down with our loan officers who are transitioning out, and that's just a rare occasion. Yeah. Usually it's like, look, leave it in the pipeline. We'll get it closed for you. Quit talking to the borrower, and we'll get you paid on it. That's how we handle it. If it's a pre-approval that you worked on 30 days ago and they haven't purchased yet nor going on under contract, and that person wants to follow you along, then so be it.
Right.
Yeah, so like that's some of the recommendations I would have for anyone transitioning. But again, I would caution you to make sure you're transitioning for the right reasons, which typically the right reasons are, is this new company going to support me better than my current company? And am I going to be able to take my career to the next level by working for this employer? If the answer is yes to both of them, then you make the move. You don't necessarily make the move solely about pricing, solely about product, nor would you ever make it about comp.
Right.
All three of those combined, coupled with better support, better leadership, better mentorship, by all means, that's a great recipe for somebody to make a transition. Just keep in mind what to do with your current pipeline.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Hopefully that answered every question that was posed in the, I don't know if it was a chat box or it was a LinkedIn commentary. I can't quite remember where this particular request came into, but hopefully we did a good job of answering that question and offering some insight for those that are having to deal with recruiters or who are contemplating transitioning from one employer to the next. His name is John Coleman. My name is Dustin Owen. You have tuned into the Loan Officer Podcast. Please, if you're tuning in for the first time, like us, share, comment, follow us on social media. We are on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok at the Loan Officer Podcast. He is John Coleman, found on Google, and I am Dustin Owen, best found on LinkedIn. That is all the time we have for you today. We will catch you on the next episode.